Welcome to A Bit of Insight with Lisa Mosbey, your weekly dose of health, wealth, and everything else. Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome back to A Bit of Insight with Lisa Mosbey. I'm here with my guest, Rachel. She's back for a second time. Last time we were talking about pauses, push-ups, and plants, reigniting Gen X women's mojo. And this week, I get to ask her how she got started as an entrepreneur and what steps she can follow. But first, Rachel, I'm going to tell them a little bit about you. Rachel's a seasoned health and wellness coach specializing in Gen X women to rediscover their confidence and joy post-divorce, or we call it post-trauma. If there's stuff going on in your life that you just need to get past, that things just aren't working the way they are, she's the one that you want to talk to. She has 25 years of professional experience with master's degree in kinesiology and education. She has certifications in TRX, spin, kettlebell, paddleboarding, and precision nutrition. If you need to get your body moving, this lady knows how to help you do that. And she's going to make sure that you're eating well and taking care of yourself while you're doing it. So welcome with me, Rachel, back to the show. Thanks for being with me again.
Yeah, thanks. It's so good to be back. So good to be back, Lisa.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
We were talking about the plants and push-ups and pause, or pause, plant, pause, blah, blah, blah. I got my mouth jumbled all up. It was pause, push-ups, and plants last time.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's your program. That's how you work with folks. It's the mind, which is the pauses. It's the body, which is the push-ups, and then it's the plants, which are the nutrition piece of it.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I want to know about your business. Like, how did you get started as an entrepreneur, and why was it important to you to have that freedom, that space in your life to be your own boss?
Oh gosh, two good questions. So let me answer the second question first.
Okay.
I grew up in a family where my dad was an entrepreneur, and that was something. In the 70s, my dad would worked from home, and he was a leadership consultant. So I grew up with this, which was a little bit different. I feel like now there's lots of people lots of us work from home now, but there are lots of people who are doing independent things. But it was a little bit off the beaten path at that point, I think, to have a parent that was doing that. So I just loved. We would come home from school at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and he'd be sitting out. He Very nice skin and really nice tan. Somebody he'd be like reading his stuff or working out, on the lawn chair, like sitting out in the sun. And I thought, what a great life, right? What a great life. So I think that was always in the back of my head, that having that freedom to make your own choices was something that was percolating at a young age. I didn't do it right away. So I went to college, went to grad school, and then actually I was going to go to law school. And about 4 days before I was starting law school, I thought, what am I doing? I don't want to be a lawyer. So then I had to like rejigger my life. So my first half of my career, I was in training and development and organizational development. So working for large organizations, was enjoying it, got to travel, got to do lots of things. And it hit me one day and I thought, I love helping people be successful at work. But Lisa, what I really wanted to do is I wanted them to feel good in their bodies so that they could go out and be really successful at work. So that kind of hit me. And I thought, "Oh, okay, how am I going to do that? I come from this family of educators. And so I thought, well, of course you have to go back and get a master's degree in kinesiology, because that's just how it works. I mean, that's not actually how it works, but that's how it works, right? So I was in my late 30s. I was by far the oldest person in most of my classes, which was totally fine, but got a master's degree in kinesiology, and then decided, okay, I got a couple of jobs in gyms. I thought I was going to be a personal trainer and wasn't making any money, and thought, oh, okay, what can I do? Well, I have all of these skills connecting with leaders, and I don't have to meet them in the gym. I can just meet them in their homes. Right. So I started my career in my early 40s, then as an entrepreneur, being a personal trainer, and I went to people's homes doing personal training. So loved it and loved the freedom. Um, didn't always love all of the driving at 4 a.m. in the morning to these leaders' homes because, they work out early in the morning. Right. So, but was, made a pretty good life for myself, made a pretty good career for myself. And then two things happened. I suddenly single and the pandemic. So all of a sudden I was like, right, that was going to be my word, right? Oh, oh, oh. Now what happens because I cannot be driving to these people's homes anymore. I was living in Minnesota and Minnesota really was for whatever, cracked down. We were staying home. So I was all of a sudden single and what was I going to do for my job? Like personal training, the personal is the first word in personal training. What was I going to do? So all of a sudden we started training via Zoom. So I was sitting on my couch watching these women, mostly women, in their home gyms because that's who I was training. So these women in their home gyms, doing telling them to do push-ups, and I was sitting on the couch drinking coffee. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I did. So, it was an interesting space in my life to all of a sudden be 100% responsible for myself, amazing making all those choices, but also being 100% responsible for myself being an entrepreneur and trying to figure it out. Right. So it was great and crazy. And then the thought occurred to me, one, I don't just want to sit on my couch and watch people do push-ups, right? Because it's fun and I, enjoy that and I like people moving, but well, how can I combine both my previous life of working in coaching, doing that kind of coaching, and how do I help people live fully into who they are? And then the total aside was, oh my goodness, I'm virtual. I don't have to shovel snow anymore. So why am I still in Minnesota? Like, right? Like, yeah. So yeah, I live in Austin, Texas now, right?
Yeah.
So that's a super short snippet on kind of how I started. Clearly, there were lots of fits and starts and all of the other things in terms of building it started out really as a hobby, right? Doing personal training. But I think now morphing into working with Gen X women, helping them find their mojo. Yes, exercise is still part of that, but finding our mojo is way more than just moving our bodies. It's how do we nourish our bodies, but it's also about the whole mindset. I mean, one of the things, Lisa, that we talk about, and this is both for entrepreneurs as well, is it can be a lonely life, especially if you're a single entrepreneur living by yourself. It can be a really lonely life. So how do we this is getting super rambly, but one, how do we create tribes? And then how do we have really positive conversations with ourselves? Right. And I teach women in the program how to do that too. But as entrepreneurs, I think we need to be our own cheerleaders because who else is going to do it, on a day-to-day basis because we don't have somebody else here. So that was a lot.
It was an evolutionary process of trial and error and not loving where you were at and deciding to step out and adventure into something new. And I think that that's oftentimes what happens with entrepreneurs. Uh, I think that we're born entrepreneurs. I think people have that entrepreneurial spirit when they're really young. My dad was into network marketing as a side gig, even though he was a pipe fitter, but he could not ever walk away from it. He tried so many different network marketing things because he had that desire to do that. And just like you, witnessing your dad, there's a freedom that you see when you're an entrepreneur. There's a freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur. And I love that you said, and how am I going to support myself? How am I going to make enough money? How am I going to do all the things, the technology, the accounting, the employees if I need them, all the legal stuff that happens with that. And I'm an entrepreneur and I have freedom. There's this juxtaposition that happens with our mind and reality of what is happening as an entrepreneur. So let's go back and kind of dissect some of what it is that you shared with folks. So number one was you saw the freedom and you wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
What was the next step? Like, did you quit your job right then and there when you realized it, or did you start preparing and stepping into this life as an entrepreneur? Share a little bit with where you were at that stage.
Yeah, I probably didn't do it in exactly the right way, but let me take that back. There's no right way.
No
We
right
all
way.
So um, I got laid. Well, I didn't get laid off from my job. I was working for a really small consulting firm, and they closed. So I was like, shoot, what do I do? Like, what do I do? And so I thought, again, because of my history, I thought that was when I wanted to, that's when I kind of made the decision that I wanted to help people in a different way. So instead of helping people be good leaders, I wanted to help them feel good in their bodies. So I got laid off, lost my job, decided, you know what? Let's go back to grad school. So I went back to grad school full time. So I did that in 18 months. So I went back to grad school full time. Worked as a personal trainer at a gym during that, so supported myself a little bit during that time, and I just jumped right in. So I jumped right in, um then had some fits and starts as I had jumped right in because I wasn't exactly supporting myself. So I did have I worked for my dad for a little while, and then I did take another position kind of about 6 or 7 years in because the fear crept in. I thought, I
See,
am
it's
not making enough
messy.
money.
Yeah.
It's messy. And the fear crept in. And I didn't, at that point, I was kind of right at the end of my relationship as well. And I was like, everything is messy and everything is scary and I can't breathe and I just need some money. So and I had the skills. So I took a job as the director of, I don't remember what my title was, but for a wellness company in Minnesota. So I took a job, well-paying job. It was great. I mean, it on paper looked fine. Looked like, oh, Rachel, that was the right decision. You don't really know what's going on with your relationship. You need some money. You need some security. You need health, benefits. You need all the things. Was there for maybe 18 months, and yeah, I had to say no. I
Yeah,
had to
I'm
say no.
calling time. Let's look at that a little bit more. So for folks who are thinking about this, if you are an entrepreneur or you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're pursuing this, it's messy. You're not going to just jump out of your corporate job and into something else. There's preparation that has to come with this of like, what did you enjoy doing? Rachel mentioned she loved going to the gym. It was a natural fit for her to support people through that fitness piece of it. She wanted to see people strive and be successful in their health and wellness part so that they could go out and do something else. Maybe for you, it's the opposite. Maybe you want to help people set up their financial planning, or maybe, your coaching is in the the nutrition aspect of it, or a different perspective of wellness. Maybe it's massage and relaxation. Wherever you fall on these things, however you want to serve, it's getting clear on what that message is. I think that the biggest mistake that most entrepreneurs make is they jump and they don't have a plan. They don't have any clarity. They don't know where they're going to start. They just start. And so there's this messiness that happens with it. If you look back, what would you do differently?
I think honestly, I would have gotten a business coach right away.
Yeah.
I would have gotten someone to help guide and narrow my niche right away,
Mhm.
so that I could expand later. I think I went into it thinking I have the capacity to help all leaders, men, women, doesn't matter what generation. I have the capacity to help everybody. And perhaps that I do. Perhaps I do have the capacity to help everybody. Do I have the absolute expertise to help everybody? Probably not. I would have spent time, and I would have also said, I can't do everything myself. What can I outsource? And I would have outsourced helping me create that vision, mission, that space, which I thought, okay, I help other people do that. That's what I'm doing right now in my job. So I should be able to do that for myself. I would have outsourced that 100% right away. I think it wouldn't have solved all of the pains because entrepreneurship is up and down. I think forever it's up and down. But I would have done that to gain more clarity and been more focused at the beginning. That would have saved me years and
Coaching,
lots of,
and then there's other resources in addition to finding a business coach. You've got the Small Business Administration, or
yeah.
those folks, they have people who are retired that will mentor you and help you to set up a business plan. How many entrepreneurs do you know, me included, started without a business plan? Like, I had a bunch of notes on a piece of paper, but I didn't know what my budget was. I didn't know who my competition was. I didn't really know who my audience was. I really didn't have any products set up. Like, what was I going to sell and what was I going to sell it for? Like, there's all these details that we don't think about when we first start, or many of us that have been in this industry for a long time. For me, I'm 40 years as an entrepreneur now. And yeah, I made every single one of those mistakes. And had I gotten a business coach early on, had I gotten with somebody who was already doing what it is that I want to do and ask them, will you mentor me? Like, can I give you a percentage of my business to mentor me for this next year? There's people out there that have already done what we did. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. So how do we get started? So a business coach would have been one of those things. What about money? Like, did you have enough money to get into this when you started? How would you have done budgeting or money management a little bit differently? Any thoughts on that?
I probably still need help with that, Lisa, to be honest. No, I just jumped. I maybe it's a little bit part of my personality that I have this huge faith that the universe is going to take care of me. Um, I don't, so I don't say that blindly. I don't say that I am just going to sit on my couch and the universe is going to deliver money to my door. I don't believe that happens. I believe I have the agency and I have to take the action. But I also have a little bit of trust that if I take the action, things will happen. And things have happened. And it hasn't always been easy. There have been some really lean years, but yeah, I don't know how much wisdom I have, because don't follow me. I literally just jumped without a safety net. So
You did have a safety net. We both share the same safety net, and that is that you trust. We have
yeah,
faith and we have trust that things are always working for our good. I have faith and trust that the next right person I need to talk to will show up. So there's this courage, this bravery that you need when you are an entrepreneur. And then like, fear is just false evidence appearing real. So, letting fear sit on the shelf in order to make that jump. I love that you're vulnerable and honest about it, because that's the truth about entrepreneurship. People think it's easy and you can just jump right in, and it's not always easy. Sometimes you have to dip your toe in, depending on your personality. Some of us, we get on the diving board and go, oh yeah, this was a lot higher than I thought. And we're going in the water and it's going to be warm, I hope. And it's not always warm. So, that's why I kind of like to address these things, because we make it look all good and, oh yeah, she's so successful. She runs her own business and we're like a duck on top of the water. Our feet are pedaling, but we're cool, calm, and collected because we know what we need to be doing. So, next steps beyond the planning, getting a business plan, beyond the money. What is something else that we want to bring attention to? What's that next step that we want people to be aware of and be, cautious of as they're moving forward on their entrepreneurial journey?
well, two things. One, I think it's so important to find, and I call them tribes, to find a tribe, find a community, find a group of people that you can connect with. And maybe it's multiple groups of people that you can connect with. But the beauty of owning your own business is you get to make all of the decisions. The scary thing about owning your own business is you get to make all the decisions. Right? I mean, so it's a both and. It's seriously something, Lisa, and this is maybe a little aside, especially being a single entrepreneur, is that I there were days, sometimes there's still days, but there were days I was like, I just want someone else to make a decision. Like I want someone else to pick out what kind of cereal or what kind of lotion or what kind of, like, just make a decision for me, because one, the beauty, I get to make all of the decisions, and the, you know, drawback is I get to make all the decisions, right? But so I think finding a tribe, because the important thing is to know you're not alone. You're not alone. There are other people, there are other women, there are other people that are in the same space as you, and you can share some of that. You can share ideas, you can ask for help. You don't have to do it alone. You get to do it alone, but you don't have to do it alone, and you probably shouldn't, because I think we're put on this earth to be in community with each other. So making sure that you find that tribe. I think the other piece, and this goes back to what we've already talked about, is I also believe that I am firmly not alone, even when I'm sitting alone in my living room, because I have the universe. Like the universe is here with me. I call the universe God. God is with me. I have that. Um, I have that foundation. So for me, those are the two things: to find the physical tribe, but then also to be able to rely on my faith.
Yeah, I agree. I follow you on that. I think about two tribes actually. When for me, it's like the tribe that I'm going to serve, and then the tribe that serves me, because
Yes.
that's what helps us from being alone. When we get in with those people that where I put it like this, I don't mean this in a negative way, but sometimes I need to be the dumbest one in the room because all those people have answers, and all I am doing is showing up and asking questions. So it's important to be part of that tribe. They've been there before me. They've made all the mistakes, and if they can condense the time, my learning curve, if they can condense that time, if they can save me money by telling me what not to do, it's going to increase my chances of being a successful entrepreneur. And so I think as an entrepreneur, we need to know when we're using two ears, and we need to know when we're using one mouth. And those two ears are when you're in that room of those mentors, those people that can help shape you, that coach that you don't need to tell them what you're great at. Listen to them and find out what you're going to be greater at. And then those people that you serve, we do have to listen to them as well, because they're going to tell on themselves. They're going to tell us what they need from us, where they want to go. But how do we pour into them? And that leads me to, how do we come up with offers and the products that we're going to sell, and some of those pieces? Like I know many, many, many women, because I primarily work with women who are coaches, and they may be a life coach, they may be a fitness coach, they may be a health coach, they may be a business coach, a digital marketing coach. Like there's all these places, all these coaches. But how do we help people figure out, what are you going to sell? What is your product? Because the idea of being in business, you have to make money. How do we take that next step? How do we actually start a business, hang a shingle, and make money? Any thoughts?
Yeah. So the first thing that I would say is, who were you 4 years ago? Like, who were you 4 years ago? And serve those people. I mean, that's how I actually came up with, this niche about, what have I gone through? What do I have to offer? Because I can say from a 100% transparency, I was you. And I want to, just like you said, shorten the time that it took me to get from there to here. So how can I was you, I know you, and I am you, but I am you a couple of years down the road. So let me help you. Let me help you. So I think that was, because then I'm passionate about that as well. So one, I know it and I have passion around it. So I think those are two things. And then I think the third thing, and again, to get to the money piece, is, we talk about, there's so much out there right now about, oh, just follow your passion, do this, just blah, blah. Yes, you also have to make money. So yes, your passion can be something, but will someone buy that from you? Can you make money from your passion? So you need to ask yourself that hard question. And most of the time it is yes, because you can find that community, but you just have to make sure that there is a community out there. So doing a little bit of research, asking the question, is the pain that somebody's in, can you solve that pain? But is somebody in enough pain to pay money for it? Right? Because they can just be what did we just freeze?
We're still here.
Did we freeze for a second?
We're still here on my end. I can still hear you. Keep going.
Oh, you can still hear me. Oh,
Okay.
I was just going to say that people, will, if they're in enough pain, people will pay.
Mhm.
Right. So making sure that all those things kind of are tied together.
Yeah, interesting. And it's not that how do I say this? We have to make money, but it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be a transaction. Like we don't come from those places of transactions first. I'm not helping you just to make money. When you have that heart of compassion and who you want to serve, the money piece of it comes together more effortlessly,
Yeah.
because and you get clear on, this is who I serve and what I serve. You mentioned early on, I thought I could serve everybody. Well, I primarily work with women. So that's like 400 million women. I cannot serve 400 million, not in any lifetime, not in any month, day, year of my life will I be able to serve that many people. But I can serve the small tribe that I have right now. And then once that starts producing income, maybe I can add some other coaches. I can add some other people to my business and expand and grow. And eventually I can serve more women than I can today. And so when we start as an entrepreneur and we think of, serving, I can serve everybody, I can do everything. It comes from a place of desperation and lack rather than saying, I will serve women between the ages of 50 and 60 who are entrepreneur, who have an entrepreneurial spirit, who find themselves later in life and they need more income. They want more travel. They want more time to spend with their grandkids. I can show them how they can create that, how they can create freedom of time, how they can create more income, and how they can do the things that they want to do and love every single day. Who are my people? That those people will actually pay for my services because I can help them. And I think that's what you're saying is that when we find that tribe of people, when we start to attract the specific people that we are built to, based on our experience, our knowledge, and our training, those people that we are built to help, the money will follow. Right?
Yes, and I think just to expand on that too, it is then about showing up as your transparent self, right? Because once you show up as your transparent self, you will attract the people that are attracted to that. Because not everybody's going to like me. That's okay. That's okay. And there might be someone in my exact demographic, like that exactly fits on paper is all of the things that I can help. But then they see me here or they read something on LinkedIn and they're like, oh no, I don't, which is fine because I want to attract people that I want to work with as well. And they need to know who I am. So they want to work with me. Right. Because I think that's important as well. And that's one of the things as an entrepreneur is that you have that freedom also to work then with people that you enjoy. You don't have to serve everyone in your demographic, right? Because that's not, I don't want to do that. I want to like the people that I work with. So I get to be picky as well. So the people that I attract into my tribe, not that I want to be exclusive because that is not who I am, but if I put my transparent stuff out there, they're going to self-select out if they don't agree with some of the things that I agree with. If they don't, and I'll just put it out there, if they don't believe that there is a God or there's something greater than us on earth, they're just going to self-select out, and that's okay. That's okay. I still like them as people. They're just not a fit for this program.
We can even be friends, but they may not be a fit for our business.
Yeah.
Um, let's transition into the type of product because I know you've done live, you drive to people's houses, you were doing one-on-one versus group versus like digital courses and actually creating a course where people tune in online. You've done all of those things. And just
Mhm.
in the last 5, 6 years, you've gone
Yeah.
from face-to-face, one-on-one to online, one-on-one, online groups. And now you're back into this post-COVID era. So, how do people select how did you were forced to do some of those things out of circumstances, but now moving forward, if you get to choose rather than it being forced upon you, what do you find works best? What is your experience? I'm not saying that the audience has to follow this, but I want them to get a sense, a flavor of what was working, what wasn't working. What did you like about the different aspects of digital, online, or in person?
So I'm definitely come from the extrovert side. So the transition was hard for me. But honestly, Lisa, although I love people and I love the energy of live people, I love having an online business because I love the freedom. A year and a half ago, I picked up and it was snowing in April. I was shoveling snow 2 years ago in Minnesota. And I was like, I am done. I'm done. So got in my car and I drove down to Texas. So I love the freedom of being anywhere. I love being able to go. Now, I'll say this in two different ways. I love the freedom of being able to go travel and still work because I can work from anywhere.
Mhm.
I also need to, which has been hard for me, and I did it for the first time last year. I actually took a vacation and didn't work. So and that's so important. And I know I need to like do more of the travel without working, but I have the freedom. I can work from my phone. So
Yeah.
I don't think that I would ever go back to working face to face. Like No, I have support groups. I have groups. I have like community. I've got lots of things that I do face to face. But for work, personally, for my lifestyle, so it's a I don't want to say it's a selfish lifestyle choice that I get to make and get to as a I don't have to. I get to make that. So for me, the digital space feels good. Um, I don't think that I would go just to selling digital products only because I do like interacting with people and I do like having conversation. Um, I would like to build out some more digital projects, so that's kind of in the future. But um, I don't know if that answered your question. The decision was purely a personal choice, so that I could manifest more things that I want in my life, which is travel.
Yeah. And your products are events, right? Do you have some events coming up where you're face to face with folks or?
I don't have any face-to-face events yet
Oh,
right
you
now,
have,
and
so
I
your
don't
event
think
that you have coming up is actually a virtual event.
online. Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
I'm
okay.
focused. Yeah, so the mastermind that I have, yeah, coming up is a online. So
Beautiful. So I think people have to make that choice. If you're in a community and you have roots, which neither of us do. I mean, I'm in a community for a few months while I'm in this area of the country. But I'll be moving on soon, in a couple of weeks. But if you have roots and you're bound to a community, there's opportunity through community education, through the park services, things to do outside. There's businesses that you can be part of. There's the Chamber of Commerce and networking groups, lots of different spaces where you can get into face to face to meet people and have that interaction. But having a digital component to your business allows the longevity. What if you want to retire and move, after you retire from living in Minnesota or whatever part of the country and you want to try somewhere else. When you uplift and you move away, you don't have to leave your business behind. So I think it's really important to look at not where you are just today, but a year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 years down the road, what does it look like? Do I still think I'll be serving people in this capacity? I've been an entrepreneur for over 40 years. That's insane that I have been doing this for so long. Not to say that I haven't worked in other companies during that time. After my divorce, I did work for 3 different companies. Didn't go well. I realized I don't play well in the corporate sandbox and I need to be an entrepreneur. And it was like, either figure it out or feast or famine, figure it out or you don't eat. So I had to go back to it because it's in my nature, it's in my cells, it's who I am. But look at yourself in the mirror. Are you the
mhm.
corporate person that needs structure? How can you collaborate and work with corporations, still have some of that security, but yet have independence and freedom? How can you be an entrepreneur and enjoy those freedoms, but yet still, prepare for the future and where you might be in a year, 5, 10 years down the road? So these are just some of the things that you're thinking about as you're expanding your brand. I want to jump into the brand identity. You joke around being single, cat lady. You have this kind of kitschy way that you're presenting yourself on LinkedIn, and I love it. I totally connect with it because of the fun energy. But speak to a brand. Like, how do you identify? Like, how do you put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and identify your tribe to attract them?
I don't know if it was always really strategic. Um, but I do have to say the whole I know who I am as a person, and fun is absolutely one of my values. It's been one of my values since I was it's just one of my values. I was born with fun being one of my values, fun, joy. My company's named Enjoy. So for me, the brand has always been about that energy, about that lightness, about that fun. And as a person, I've always just been pretty transparent. I do have to say there was some apprehension about how transparent, how authentic can I be on LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn for a while for me, and LinkedIn, like every social or like every platform, has evolved. So, 10 years ago, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be putting all that stuff out there, although I was a different person 10 years ago as well. So I don't know. I can't even say that. But I made I put the stake in the ground. I made the decision to say, I am going to be my authentic self. Now, do I share everything on LinkedIn? No, it's not, I don't share everything. I mean, let's be appropriate. But those things are just part of my DNA. I just happen to be single. And he's sitting right over there. I happen to have a cat. I'm a childless cat lady, right? That just is. That humor, that things, those are just part of who I am. So it was making the decision to step away from the fear and just be authentic. And I believe and I trust and I know because it works. If I'm authentic, my tribe, who also appreciates that authenticity, is finding me. The people that don't appreciate that authenticity unfollow me. And okay, that's fine. That's fine. And that's okay. And again, as we said before, really good people, just not my tribe for my work.
Yeah. That's how I found you. Your posts were amazing. I loved everything, and constantly sharing them with folks, and it's okay if folks unfollow you. We cannot serve 400 million women or 400 million men or a combination of the two. Like, you need to find those people. And really, truly, most tribes have a very small number of people that they're
Yeah.
actually doing business with. You may have 100,000 followers, but only 20% of those folks are going to engage with you regularly. You may have 100 followers, but only 20% of those folks are going to engage with you regularly. Your offer, your price, what you charge has to be in connection, in alignment with how many people you're serving. So there's other ways to look at this. Like, what do I charge? Do I want to do a small product at $5 and serve hundreds of thousands of people, or do I want to do a more expensive product at $500 or $5,000 and serve fewer people? So
Yeah.
again, the business coach is going to help us to identify some of those things. As we come to a close here, what is the fun? Like, are you setting your business up so that you can sell it? Do you have an exit strategy as an entrepreneur? I know in corporate America, they always have an exit strategy. What's the next step? But as we, come to the close, what do you see the next years of business, and then long term, what would your focus be on for an exit strategy as an entrepreneur?
That is an excellent question. And I do not have a good answer for you, Lisa. I have an answer. We were talking about this before I'm in my early 50s and it's interesting. I feel like I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
So yes, I know I'm intelligent enough to understand that I need an exit strategy. I don't have one right now. I don't know what that looks like. I know that it is on the list to think about. But it's not on the list to think about right now. I am um, 1000% just getting started. And I would say having fun, like having fun, um, exploring and serving and being my authentic self. Exit strategy, I don't know. I don't know. I probably need a coach to help me figure that out.
No, you need to know at this point. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in all the details of what we have to do. And I know I surprised you with that question. And there was a
No, that's okay.
reason that I threw that out there, is
Yeah.
because I wanted people to know that we don't have to have all the answers to get started. We just need to take that first step to get started. And some things will evolve as we're moving along. Maybe this is something that you've created, this digital business that you can do into your 60s, 70s, and 80s. Just your demographic may change, or the folks that are with you now will grow into those older ages and continue to work on their push-ups and their plants and their pauses. They'll continue to do those things. And so you're building a lifelong sustainable business. And it doesn't have to be something that you sell. Some people might be building a business to have an exit strategy. They want this lump sum payment. They're going to retire someday, buy an island off the coast of Florida, and they're going to live out their days there. The entrepreneur journey is about making those decisions and deciding what is right for you. So thank you so much for walking this path with me. I know it's not easy when you have to dive into and reflect and look into yourself, but you've been doing a lot of that, and you're teaching a lot of people to do that. So I knew you'd play along and follow along. And she had no idea what we were talking about during this conversation. So I applaud you for just coming from the
Thank you.
cuff, coming from the heart, and just showing people really truly who you are, the depths of you. So thank you for that. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave people with about being entrepreneurs, or the journey that you were on? Anything that comes to mind? What would you like to share with our audience before we wrap up?
First, I would just say take a deep breath and honestly, if it feels good in your body, I mean, I would say do it. I know that's a horrible advice just to like jump off the cliff, but I have not, while there have been tears, I have not regretted the journey that I'm on. I also think that if you need structure and you are in corporate America and you don't want to leave your job, you still can follow your passion and serve and, have a side hustle. But take a deep breath and really look within, and God puts things on your heart for a reason. So I believe that.
Beautiful. Don't be afraid. Actually, take a risk, take a chance. And you don't have to dive in. You can dip your toe in with a side gig and see how it feels. And I love that you say if it feels good in your body, because I've been challenged with that with some service providers, people that are providing me some different, financial services, accounting, and those kinds of things. And I had mentioned before we hopped on this call that it's not feeling good in my body. And she's like, trust it. It's your intuition. And that women are blessed with amazing intuition. Each and every one of you that are listening, when you followed your intuition that you were right. And so I think that's the big piece as being a female entrepreneur is trust your gut, ladies, trust your gut, because and when it doesn't feel right. And when people are inauthentic, that. And so if it's right for you, you'll know too. So thank you so much for being with me today, Rachel. I appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with Rachel and talk to her about the Pause, Push-Ups, and Plant program, where do they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, so it's Rachel Bentz, or my website is enjoymyeveryday.com, or email rachel@enjoymyeveryday.com.
All three places you can connect with her. You can always reach out to me and I will make that introduction as well if you don't find her. And if you need some help with your business, if you're wanting to promote yourself on social media and you want to expand your brand in that arena, feel free to pop over to my website, lisamosbey.com, and grab 30 minutes with me. We'll talk all about you and it will be none about me, and we'll find out what your next steps are. So thanks for being with us. And I invite you to come back next week where we'll have another spectacular guest because we're here to serve you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining me on A Bit of Insight. To get more involved with our wellness community, grab a copy of my book, Live Well, Travel Far, or to explore our travel offerings, visit the website at insightcenterforwellness.com. And if today's episode gave you something to think about, leave a review and please share it with a friend. This is Lisa Mosbey reminding you to live well, travel far, and always follow your insight.